Another day, another big free agent off the market. It feels like mid-August at this point, like when all the NASCAR driver changes or extensions are happening. Nope. Let's do it in mid-February. Let's do it right around the Daytona 500. That's right. The third big free agent in just 2 days has been locked up by his current team for the long haul. Ross Chastain, driver of the number 1 Trackhouse Chevy, will remain at Trackhouse for a long period of time. They announced just, a few minutes ago that the two agreed on a multi-year extension, just like Daniel Suarez, multi-year, but the year was not stated, whereas with Alex Bowman, who we talked about yesterday, that contract is through 2026, so multi-year could mean 2 years, it could mean 5 years, it could theoretically mean 50 years. Obviously, it doesn't mean 50 years, but a multi-year extension for Ross Chastain and Trackhouse, and no real surprise if I'm being honest. Chastain last year had a career year. He entered the year with 0 wins, 0 playoff appearances, and he exited the year with 2 wins and a championship 4 appearance. Chastain was probably the breakout driver of the year last year. That might not even be questioned. No one expected Chastain to make the championship 4 at the beginning of the season. Honestly, I don't even know if a lot of people were confident he could make the playoffs. Some people were confident he could make the playoffs. Some people were confident he could win a race, maybe a couple of races, but not anyone saw him getting 15 top 5s, 21 top 10s, and of course making that championship 4. And not just making the championship 4, making the championship 4 in the way he made it by flooring it on the wall in Martinsville. Ross Chastain made himself an overnight legend with that move, of course. The most talked about driver last year for good and bad reasons. Of course, as I said, 2 career wins. Circuit of the Americas was that first one in thrilling fashion. Second one was at Talladega, once again in thrilling fashion. Chastain knows how to thrill. That is one thing that is for sure. Whether it's him moving AJ Allmendinger into Alex Bowman to win, or whether the doors open up and he just stays on the bottom and wins at Talladega, or if he pulls it into 5th and floors it against the wall at Martinsville to make the championship 4. Whatever Ross Chastain does, it is exciting. It is fun. He is going to be the reason people tune in to the races this year. The fact of the matter is, people saw that insane move last year at Martinsville and they were like, who is this guy? I want to know more about him. I want to watch him more. Chastain is a talented driver. He's a really good driver. But, as I said, last year he got a lot of attention for good and bad reasons. We've listed the goods, but of course he had his run-ins with Denny Hamlin a few times. I think Chase Elliott was one of them, Martin Truex Jr. So yeah, in that terms of things, just ease it off. Don't run into people as much. But at the same time, that's kind of how he's gotten here. Ross Chastain has always been an aggressive race car driver, and that's what's gotten him this far. No, he doesn't intentionally wreck people or anything, but he's not afraid to move you out of the way. He's not afraid to, force you up the track or anything. He's not afraid to make a daring move, 3 wide, 4 wide, however many wide he has to make the pass. Ross Chastain is an aggressive driver, and it's what makes him entertaining. It's what makes him fun. When you go to the racetrack nowadays, you're going to be looking at that one car, and you're going to say, what is he going to do on this restart? So Chastain, he is an aggressive driver, but he's also shown that he's a fair driver. Look at Las Vegas last year against Joey Logano. I think he pushed to the limits. Both drivers were fighting for a spot in the championship 4 with that win. And sure, Chastain made some aggressive blocks. He made some aggressive moves, but I don't think he crossed the line in any of them. So he was pushing the limits, but still fair. And he knows how to show that he is fair at times, which is good. So, as I said, Ross Chastain, very good driver, very aggressive driver, but he is a fun driver. This contract extension makes sense for both parties. I think I said this yesterday with both Suarez and Bowman. Chastain's a really good driver. He's a hot driver right now. Trackhouse is a hot team right now, and they're really good right now. They were the breakout team of the year last year. So this makes sense. Ross Chastain could have gone shopping. He could have gone and looked at other rides. He could have looked at that SHR4. If the 11 at JGR somehow opened up, he could look at that maybe. But he opted not to. He opted to stay at Trackhouse. He believes in what they're building, and they believe in him. They both shook hands and said, we believe in each other. And that's what happened. Ross Chastain himself actually said, "There's nowhere in the world I would rather be and nothing I would rather do than race the #1 Chevrolet in NASCAR for Justin and the people at Trackhouse Racing." Of course, he moved into Trackhouse just last year. His career has been quite the path. He's raced with JD Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. He's been with Nice Motorsports in the Truck Series. He has been with Premium Motorsports in the Cup Series, if you guys remember who they were. And then eventually he finally got his break. He got to race in the Xfinity Series for Chip Ganassi Racing, but then the sponsorship fell through due to legal issues. So something out of Chastain's control. But when he was in that Xfinity car for Chip Ganassi Racing, he made the most of it. Won a couple of races, ran up front, looked really, really good. And that eventually got him his opportunities. As I said, he went to Nice Motorsports. He was in a championship for the Truck Series. He went to Colleague for the Xfinity Series, performed well there. And then eventually he went to the 42 car at Chip Ganassi Racing. And it seemed like his opportunity had finally arrived. He's in a pretty solid Cup Series team. At some point, he's going to be able to compete for wins, even maybe playoff spots or a deep playoff run. But then halfway through his first season at Chip Ganassi Racing, it's announced that Chip Ganassi Racing is no more. They've sold the team to Trackhouse Racing. Chastain's future was up in the air. No one knew if he was going to stay with the now Trackhouse Racing car, if he was going to go elsewhere, or if this was it. Well, Trackhouse and Chastain decided to stick with each other, or they decided to make a new deal. And it has worked out extremely well thus far, and they are now extending. So it makes sense for both parties. As I said, this is no real shock to me, honestly. I think it would have been a huge shock if he were to go elsewhere, whether that be Stewart-Haas, whether that be somewhere else. I don't remember what the other big names are that are free agents. Denny Hamlin's a free agent, but I really don't see him leaving Gibbs. I mean, I don't think that sponsorship will fall through like it did with Mars and Kyle Busch, but you never know. Here's what Justin Marks had to say. Ross is the type of driver and type of person we want representing Trackhouse Racing, our employees, and our corporate partners. You saw what Ross did with us in just our first year together, and we think the future is even brighter. He brings a determination, dedication, and commitment to his job on and off the track that uplifts everyone in our shop. I'm proud he is part of our organization. So yes, Ross Chastain, Justin Marks, obviously, they're doing pretty successful together. I'm curious to see how the long-term success is. Obviously, that first year was pretty insane. We've been talking about it forever. We're still talking about it now. Those 2 wins, that wall ride at Martinsville, that's going to be one of the most legendary moves in NASCAR history. 100 years from now, people are going to still be watching that thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. But yes, Ross Chastain, Trackhouse Racing have signed an extension, so 3 of the biggest openings, first of all, in terms of cars, but also 3 of the biggest drivers on the free agent market are no longer on the market. They've all signed extensions. So yeah, tonight's the Daytona duels. I will be talking about those, so I'll see you guys here in a few hours. The duels just start in a couple, so after both duels, we'll do what I normally do for the duels, which is I'll talk about them both in one video unless something massive happens, I guess. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. And I'll see you guys tonight for the Daytona duels.